G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Alright, so this video I'm going to talk a lot about the reasons why I bought a CNC, where I bought it from, and basically just tell you the entire story of the adventure that I've had over the last few months of, choosing a CNC, why I chose this one, the company I've had to deal with, and the quality. You've seen in the last two videos there is some issues with the company and the quality, and this is what this video is about, to advise you guys how to avoid some of the pitfalls that I discovered along my way. I was interested in buying a CNC purely for hobby, enthusiastic entertainment. That's what I like to make things. I like to make things out of wood, aluminium, metal fabrication, engineering trades was my first trade. I love working with plastics and timber and just creating things essentially. So that's why I was looking at a CNC. I was initially looking for a smaller one, more of a hobby size one, but quickly realized to get a quality small CNC, you're looking at thousands of dollars, and they're still probably going to upset a few people here, but they're toys in compared to having a rigid base full-size machine. These little hobby machines just would not have fulfilled anything that I wanted to do. You know, little signs or little cutting boards weren't going to do it for me. So as I kept researching what machines were out there, and I was looking again for a small machine, and then quickly realizing expense for these desktop or half-size machines made out of aluminium extrusions and little trim routers as their main motor for running the router bits. Just wasn't going to do it. I looked up and down the east coast of Australia what was available in these kit forms, or I originally had a budget of about $5,000, and these kit machines kind of started getting okay around $5,000, but for $5,000 I really was expecting something a little bit more rigid and heavy duty. With that sort of budget buying in Australia, I was always just going to be getting a hobby level machine. Even though I wanted it for hobbies, but my hobbies are a little bit more heavy duty, and that machine was not going to cut it. So you jump onto Alibaba and you narrow down what machines you think you might like, and you start making inquiries. And I narrowed it down to about 6 machines. 4 of these companies that I was inquiring with were definitely a level above, and you can tell by the machines that the size of the machines, they were really heavy duty looking things. And I figured I didn't really need a big, massive machine, huge gantry, like much taller than this one, because I wasn't going to be cutting big commercial jobs. This is still a hobby machine for me. It might become a little bit more serious, and in that case I would probably upgrade. So the reason why I went with this machine was, again, price. So I went cheap. You know what happens when you go cheap? You get cheap. I got cheap. However, I did expect it to be that way. So I'm by no means complaining about some of the quality issues with this machine, because it was a couple of $1,000s cheaper than that level of. Their competitors jumped up in price, but the machines definitely jumped up in quality as well. You could just tell by the way they were built. They looked bigger, they looked heavier built, which was cool. I just didn't want a full-on industrial machine, so I went with these guys. And after I've gotten, my 6 or so quotes in, these guys were not the actual cheapest. There was a cheaper company, but their machines looked, I didn't even go there. So these presented well. At this stage, I'd narrowed it down to 3 companies. It was either going to be X, Y, or Z, and I went with Z because the size of the machine its footprint wasn't as big, because it's not as hulky big. So I went with them because it was a smaller machine. It's a lighter duty machine, because I just didn't need a heavy duty machine. But then I sort of inquired about, well, if a 1200 by 1200 machine was $3,000, this is just a number I'm throwing in the air, mind you. If the machine was 1200 router was $3,000. What was the full size one? So I inquired about that. So 2400 by 1200 machine came in maybe $1,000, $1,500 more. Why wouldn't you? If you've got the space like I do, you would go for the bigger machine simply for future-proofing the machine so you can make the most out of your investment. So that's why I ended up with a full-size sheet, so you can put a full-size sheet on this and go for it, provided the machine works. This is where we have a few problems. You go through Alibaba just not for the ability to connect to everybody all at once and see what's all available all at once and do direct comparisons. You're under the false guide that you've got protections, and this is why I went through Alibaba, and when we did the contract and went ahead with the purchase, I went through Alibaba because I was under the impression that if something goes wrong, if this company stuffs up, and I would be protected from situations that they may cause. I thought I was protected and I wasn't. So all of this stuff in Alibaba, and it's got this protection, it's got all these certifications and little ticks and all this crap. And then you go over to LINTCNC and they sort of write on the top of their website, we're certified for this, we're verified for this, we do ISO, blah, 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 blah. They meet all these standards, and they don't. I don't think so, do. I really don't think they do, because of the terrible things I've had to fix on this machine already. I've only been using it for a week. You've got no guarantees, you've got no quality, and your warranty, that's entirely up to the company whether they're going to help you or not. Now, since I've been showing LINTCNC these issues, they just don't respond. There's no support. There's just no support. And if you've got a little question, they're happy to help you out. They'll help you set up the machine if you are having trouble setting the parameters in your software. They're happy to, look, if you give them connection to your computer, which they'll help you set up your software remotely. So that was pretty cool. And they had to do that for me because I just couldn't get the software happening. And they jumped on remotely and got that going. All right, so shipping. This was a big no-no for me. And when I was first communicating with LINTCNC, they said, hey, we can take care of your shipping, and it's only $450. Oh boy. That should have set off red flags, and it kind of did, but I thought, and they reassure you, go, oh no, don't worry, we do this all the time. In the emails, I've got 10 emails going, don't worry, we do this all the time, there's not going to be a problem. So within the contract, I agreed for certain things, and it was agreed for it to go to the Brisbane port in Queensland, Australia. So that was all fine, and you've got documentation. They're really good with that. All right, delivery method. So it's also got delivery method, your warranty. Your warranty. Yeah. The documentation's quite good, and their response in the sales side of things is excellent as well. They will respond to you, and if you add in upgrades, they will fairly quickly update the PDF and email it back to you with any price adjustments. And they also list all of your components that you upgrade to or add on to the machine. With that, you have the specifications, their so-called warranty period, which is just a line on a piece of paper. There's the again. Everything that's pictured, they've got a line and they tell you what it is, and this was really impressive, and it started filling me with confidence for the company. It's really spelled out. On my emails, I have my company details and my address, my phone number, it's all there. So with 30 emails plus, they've had my address the whole time. In the contract, this is where I'm alluding to, in the contract, it has the port which we have agreed to put it on. It needs to go to Brisbane port, not Sydney. So this is what they have done. We went up specking out the router and to exactly what I wanted. By the end of it, I understood what I wanted, understood what I was getting. It was all documented. I was happy with the pricing, and we went ahead, and I was really happy and excited. This is the biggest drama I've experienced with shipping anything from China, and it's the only drama I've ever really had, was the fact that this mob, this company, is fairly careless in its customer support once they've got your money. And you'll see some of the shortcomings of this router as well as I go through them in coming videos. And of course, even the videos that I've already put up, the 2 videos I've put up, I've said, don't buy from this company. This is why. Because what happened is they shipped this to the Sydney port, which is 1,000 kilometres away from the Brisbane port, further south. The Brisbane port is only an hour's drive from here. I could have gone and picked up the machine and brought it back here for a very, very small amount. Even if I hired somebody, I might have been out of pocket $800 to $1,000 delivered. I found out through my broker that the CNC is now packed and loaded on a ship bound for Sydney. Oh boy. So then I got my broker to price the most economical way to now travel it up the east coast of Australia to my destination here in the Noosa hinterland in southeast Queensland. The price for that shipping came in at $3,800, which in comparison is almost the same bloody price as the machine. This is what these dickheads have done. So going back, so after I found that out, of course, I was quite aggravated. I was quite upset. So after I found that out, quite upset, I went back to the company. I went back to LINTCNC and said, why is this going to Sydney? Blah, blah, blah. And they were super careless, like their care factor was a big fat 0. No care. They have got your money, and as far as they're concerned, they've completed their task because they've made whatever they've made and they've chucked it in a container and it's on its way to you. They've got their money, and their attitude stank after that. Their interest in talking to me had certainly declined, especially when I started complaining about, you've just cost me $3,800 in unneeded shipping costs. And they just said, essentially, too bad. Now let's go back to the Alibaba and their protection. Alibaba is about as genuine as the company I bought it off. There is no protection. All of these guarantees are fake, false. So I lodged an appeal or a claim against LINTCNC through Alibaba because there's protections, remember? One of the drop-down boxes, as I'm going through these forms, one of these subjects was delivery to wrong address. So I chose that and I made the claim to try to get back some of my money that LINTCNC had cost me. And when you go through all the forms, it's quite clumsy and cumbersome, but you get there, and the last thing they tell you when you finish filling out this ridiculous form is that it's completely up to the company whether they wish to help you out or help cover their stupid decisions, which have now cost you almost $4,000. So clearly, you're not protected, and it's ridiculous, and I'm going to wear this cost regardless. And if some of you out there go, oh, well, it is your problem, it is my problem, but let me tell you, in my business, if I'd shipped something, and I do ship nationally with my products regularly. Now, in my business, if I was shipping one of my products to Sydney and it went to Perth, I wouldn't expect my customer to pay for the shipping from Perth to them because it was my mistake. And morally and ethically, the person who makes the mistake in business or in personal life should pay the cost they have caused the unsuspected victim. Victim? Bit strong? I don't know. But look, morally, ethically, they should have covered the cost, and they didn't. And when you see the quality of the machine and all of the shortcomings, wow, what a business, what a company not to do business with. Look, I kind of laugh at how silly some of the mistakes on this machine are, because it's just poor workmanship. Everything here is there for this machine to be awesome. You just got to complete the job. And LINTCNC, in this case, has not even close. In the next video, I'll show you the lubrication system, which I'm finally fixed, and I saw it this morning, and I fixed part of it, and then oil squirted out another part of it because it wasn't completed. So if you're going to buy, if you think you're going to buy a finished running machine from this company, LINTCNC, I kind of doubt it for what I've been delivered. It's not a machine that you unbox, you put it on the ground and you start using. You unbox it and then you finish their work. This is what I feel this machine is. There's really good parts of this machine and there's some really laughably poor parts of this machine. I just wanted to really explain to you guys what you're dealing with when you're dealing with Chinese companies and you're dealing with the cheaper of the Chinese companies that you're investigating. Cheaper is not cheaper. And look, I've learnt this time and time again over my career as an employee and self-employed and owning businesses and buying machinery. Cheaper dollar price often winds up being much more expensive, and it's the same when you're buying from China. Wherever you are in the world and you're inquiring about shipping a large machine from China, get your own shipping broker in your own country. Don't let the manufacturer ship the freight to you. Get your manufacturer to do what supposedly they do well. Get them to make your machine. Speak to your broker locally and get them to communicate with the manufacturer about completion dates and shipping it. You just stand back. You tell the company what you want, you get the shipping guys to organise the shipping, and you get the manufacturer to manufacture. That's it. Alright guys, lastly we're going to talk about the cost. The cost of this machine with its vacuum table and the oil mister and a few other upgrades that I did to it came to $4,350 US plus the $450-ish in US dollars that they charged for me to ship it over. That's through the CNC company. Again, that was a mistake. Anyway guys, that's the end for this video. Our next video is going to be about the lubrication system that I'm going to fix up. If you can, please like and subscribe and check out our next video. Thanks again guys, cheers.